In this session, we will study the 8 types of TOEFL reading question. That's the focus of our tonight's session. Here, we'll focus on the question types that we might face in read and daily life task and in read and academic passage task. The types of questions on the reading section is divided into 8 types, or we may have 8 types of questions, and then these 8 types of questions would be categorized into 2 major comprehension categories. So we will have detailed explanation about each type of the task, each type of the question, and now we'll basically look at what are the 2 major comprehension categories that we have these types of questions. The first category, which most question types will be included in, is basic comprehension questions. In basic comprehension questions, we have these question types. Factual and negative factual question, it is the first one. Then we have vocabulary question, select the sentence question, sentence simplification question, and reference question. These are the question types we have in basic comprehension question. So it is the first major category of reading question types that we have on the TOEFL reading section. The second category that the questions are included would be inferential comprehension questions. These questions include inference, rhetorical purpose question, and insert text question. So these 3 questions usually check the test taker's ability of understanding the text, the indirect meaning of the text, and whether the person can infer the relationship, can infer the indirect meaning out of the text or not. So that would be the focus of the inferential comprehension questions. So these are the 2 important categories that we may have the questions into there. Now let's get into each one separately. Let's dive into, first of all, factual information question, which is part of the factual question itself. So we have this category here stated. So we have reviewed it. The question types that we have, 8 question types. Now, the first type is the factual information question. As the name itself calls factual, factual simply means something which is a fact, or it is stated inside the text. So it checks our understanding of what is being said in a text. That is called factual question. It tests our ability of basic understanding of what is being said inside a text. And on the test, academic reading section or daily life task. And it simply, it asks about information that is stated, and it tests our ability on understanding the specific details presented in that passage, or often we may have the main idea or the purpose of the text. So it is checking our basic understanding of the passage, how or which information is stated. So that's the focus of factual question or factual information question. The next thing is, when we have factual question, it can be designed differently. Sometimes we may find the information directly stated without any specific combination. That's what we have as the direct statement of the fact inside the passage. Other times, Some factual questions may want the test taker to synthesize different parts of the information, state it inside the passage, and then choose the correct answer. Very close to inference, but the only difference is that here the factual would be stated, whether directly or with a combination of putting different parts of the passage together. Or so that's why it is called factual. We need to combine or connect different parts of the passage and then choose the one which is the right answer to the question. That's what we have. Next, how it is worded, or the common wording it uses for factual information question. It may say, for example, according to the passage, then we'll have the statement that questions wording. Which of the following is true about, for example, about A, about B, about C, X, Y, whatever. Or according to paragraph 1, and then it uses WH word to ask the question. What is the email mainly about? That's the next thing. So here, the factual information question could be worded as one of these ways. So simply, we can define the way that factual questions would ask the information which is stated inside the text. We may answer the factual questions, either by connecting different sentences together or combining them, or we may look and scan the specific detail, and that's directly stated. So direct or indirect answers are possible. We can check them. So here we have to always ask ourselves, in order to find the correct answer, what did the author say? Okay, because on the test, so different wording would be used. We will have a variety of phrases. We have to check out the meaning instead of the exact wording, because the correct answer will not be the exact wording. We have to check out the paraphrase and see what did the author say. So that's the important note we have to pay attention. That's what we have factual question. Now, the thing is how to answer factual information questions. What strategies can we use? In order to answer the factual questions successfully, first we have to find the paragraph location. Check out if the question mentions a specific paragraph. So you can check out that specific paragraph and scan the detail, scan the question or the keyword which is asked. If it is not stating the specific location, the specific paragraph, we have to quickly scan the keyword which is inside the question, and then we can find the right answer. So find the location of the answer. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, 3, any paragraph which it is. Often it might say according to the passage. So at that time, we have to scan the keyword which is inside the question throughout the whole passage. It's really important. Keyword and finding out that one. The next is topic identification. In order to answer the factual questions successfully, identify, okay, so identify the relevant part of the text, which is important. That the one I told you as the keyword. Find the keyword and then scan it throughout the text. This way you will be able to identify the detail. The next is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is the next language. Check out which answer choice paraphrases the information which is stated. So the correct answers would be usually paraphrased. They don't use exact wording. They don't use the copy part of the text. So check that one and find the correct paraphrase of the text. That would be the correct answer. So it is actually checking your English level. So it's important to check out which word is the right one, which answer commonly paraphrases the text. So we have to match them. And the next is the accurate answers. What would be the accurate answer? The correct answers not only address the topic, but also accurately express what the author said. It's important. Look, we may have details, but the thing is, are the details related to what the author said or not? Is it stated inside the passage or not? Is it actually the purpose of the writer or not? So when we are reading the question and the answer choices, we have to take a look at the information which is accurately stating what the author said. It's relevant to the purpose of the reading. It's relevant to the main idea of the reading. So accurate answers would be that. The next is the incorrect choices, or the incorrect answers often address the topic but mispresent what the author said. It tells, but it changes the idea. It changes often the meaning, the point which is stated. So it will misrepresent what the author said. That's another thing. So incorrect choice will always have a manipulation of the information from the text. And the next strategy is finding out the difference between the main idea and the purpose question. Because when we discuss main idea, it's completely something different. When we say purpose, it refers to the reason something is stated, the reason a specific detail is mentioned in a text. So main idea is the main argument or the central argument of the passage, but the purpose is the reason a specific information, a specific detail, specific information is mentioned. The reason and the central argument, they're two different points. So we have to distinguish them and pay attention to that one. Besides, pay attention to the beginning and the end of the text. But note that some texts may start or end with trivial details. Because at the beginning, especially with emails, the main idea and the purpose would be stated. Often, the last sentence also tells the main idea of a specific text, so we can use that. Overall, to conclude, the factual information questions are questions that ask us what is being stated inside the text, and it asks those details, facts, statistics, quotations, general statements about a topic. It asks that specific information. In order to answer, first we have to find out the location of the answer. Which paragraph should we look? Secondly, we will scan the keyword which is used inside the question and scan that keyword into the paragraph. We try to find the topic and then we will go ahead to the answer choices. When we go to the answer choices, check out the answer choice which is paraphrased. Usually, the answer choice which is paraphrased is the correct answer. But when it is paraphrased, it should be accurate. It should be the accurate answer. What it means? What it means is that the accurate answer usually expresses what the author stated about the topic, or what's the author's detail to that topic. Next, we'll look at the incorrect choices. So what the incorrect choices do actually is that they misrepresent information. And the last and the final strategy is we have to take a look at the main idea and the purpose questions. We should not kind of mix them. We have to differentiate between a main idea question and a purpose question. If it is a main idea question, it usually asks the central argument, but if it is a purpose question, it usually asks the reason for something. So we can have these strategies in order to answer factual information questions. So we have the same social media post. Now, just take a look at the question type. It usually uses the WH words to ask the question. As we have already worked, look, it asks what are volunteers advised to bring with them. It means it asks about a specific detail which is stated inside the text. So what is the keyword here? The keyword, so first of all, we know with what type of WH word is the question asked. With what, it means it is asking about something or an object simply. So it asks what. So we have to consider, does it ask about what, why, when, where? So they're different. If it is when, it means it's time. It asks about the time. If it is what, it asks about an object or an event or a situation. If it is why, it is asking about the reason. If it uses the word where, who, whom. So they have different functions. We have to be careful when reading the question because it helps us a lot to understand the main point of the question or what the question mainly asks. So the next keyword is volunteers. Volunteers, it's a keyword here, and then bring with them, advice to bring with them. If we take a look at the daily life task, which is given here inside this passage, this passage uses volunteers. For example, here we have 50 volunteers, and then so we don't have any other part inside the passage that uses the word volunteer. So the answer would be related to this. Okay, so 50 volunteers in closing, and we'll read the rest of that one. The forecast looks mild, but bring water and beverage. So water, it means beverage, and closed toe shows you are comfortable with. So from this sentence, we can easily understand, yeah, the answer would be B, a beverage and protective footwear, without reading the rest of the text. It is a very easy way to answer. We will look at the question, look at the keyword, scan the keyword inside the passage, and then refer back to the answer choices. We'll check out which one best paraphrases the information. So that's what we have as factual information question. Are there any questions here? The next question type, which is very similar to factual question, is negative factual. When I say very similar, I don't mean that it has the same direction. The negative factual question is exactly the opposite of what factual question asks. The negative factual question asks us to identify information that has not been stated or has been stated to be not true. It means the negative factual question asks us to find out the detail, the fact, the statistic, which is wrong according to the passage. Either it is not stated, either it is opposite, okay, or a manipulated answer choice. So it's opposite exactly. In factual question, we looked for the answer choices that was stated inside the passage. In negative factual question, it is opposite. We look for the answer choice that has not been stated inside the text, or the author didn't mention that. So, based on this, we can conclude that one answer choice will be correct, okay? And the other choices, the other three choices, would be incorrect, and they are stated inside the passage. So for negative factual question, the answer choice, which is not stated in the passage, is the correct choice, and the other three answer choices that are stated would be incorrect choice. Opposite. So that's what we have as negative factual question. So the thing is, why do we have negative factual questions? The reason we have the negative factual question is to check our understanding of the stated information inside the text and the what we have as the unrelated information, or the information which is not mentioned in the text. This kind of information. The idea, the information which is mentioned, and the information which is not mentioned. It is testing our ability on this specific point. We should be able to distinguish the 2 points. Now, the common wording that is used in negative factual question would be using the word either not or except. We may have these two, and they're commonly capitalized. So negative factual questions include the capitalized words not or except. For example, we may have, according to the text, what is not true of. Then we will have the keyword, true of X, true of Y. So the keyword would be stated there. Or the text supports all of these statements except, as it clearly shows, the common wording which is used for negative factual question uses the word not or except. It's clear. So one of the ways to distinguish whether the question is negative factual question or factual question is these two words. Okay. If it is negative factual question, it uses not or except. If it is factual question, it will not use that. It doesn't say what is not stated or what is not true. Factual question will not say that. But negative factual questions, yes, they use it. So, is it clear up to here?
Hi, teacher. Hi, everyone. Hope
That's what we have as negative factual question. Now the thing is how to answer the negative factual questions. What strategies can be functional? What strategies can help us to answer the negative factual information question? First of all, when we are on negative factual questions, again, the important thing is we have to find out the paragraph location. Where will be the answer found, or where can we find the information which is the answer, or which paragraph does it ask? So if the question mentions a specific paragraph, the answer will be found in that location. Okay, then we'll check which answer is not stated in that specific paragraph. Find the paragraph location. Again, we have to find the topic. Okay, identify the topic, identify the keyword, and then check it into the passage, into the paragraph which is stated. We'll look at the paraphrasing again. The correct answers that would be for negative factual questions. So there are the questions that the answer choices, right? The answer choices that would, for example, copy or would incorrectly tells the idea, misrepresents the information. So questions and correct answers commonly paraphrase the text, their stated information, okay, for factual question, but for negative factual questions, they would be the wrong choice. Again, we have to check out the accurate choices, incorrect choices, and the main idea and the purpose, which was similar to what we had in factual questions. So let's get into the next question type, which is vocabulary question. Let me have your idea. What does the vocabulary question asks? What it asks? Yes, Miss Ferishta. Vocabulary question, as you have stated as well, the purpose of vocabulary question is to test our knowledge of vocabulary and whether we are able to find out and understand the meaning of the word based on context, based on the specific context which it is used. So it checks our ability on that area, in that area of the word choice. So that's the main focus here. Here, as we know, the English has got many different meanings based on the sentence, based on the context which it is used. So it is important to identify the meaning of the word based on the scenario or the context it is used. So that's the skill which it tests. It's very important. Now, the skill development tips that we have for the overall development. First of all, in order to develop your vocabulary, try to, for example, understand the word, understand the vocabulary based on the context which it is used. So we use context clues to determine the meaning of unfamiliar word, which we already discussed, and it is one of the important skills in reading section. Second, try to read widely. Okay, read the passages that they are very helpful and they can teach you word choice, how the vocabulary is used, different varieties of words inside the context. So they can help you boost with that. So try to grasp the main idea of the sentence without looking to the dictionary. So read widely. Instead of looking for every word, try to guess the meaning according to context and the main idea. The next strategy for that skill development is to make educated guesses. As we have discussed, the context clues and the types of context clues. So we mentioned that using context clue and how the words are connected, how the words can help us guess the meaning of unfamiliar word without looking to any dictionary. So this way, using actually those types, we can make educated guess, informed guesses about the unfamiliar word. So the next thing is, when using a specific dictionary, pay attention to the roots of words and the etymology, or that history of meaning and form, how it changed. Okay, this can help you connect new words to the ones you know them already. So this is the next thing. Try to look out for the roots of the words. And as an example, for example, we may have the Latin root dur, okay? D-U-R, it means heart, strong, or long lasting. It is the root, and that's the meaning. So knowing such kind of roots will help us to guess the meaning of the words that they have these roots. For example, like endure. So endure, so we can have the root here, D-U-R, it's the root. Or durable, or duress, or duration, or obdurate. So we have these words, and all these words have the meaning hard, strong, or long lasting. For example, when it goes on with endure, endure means tolerating a hard situation. Okay, or when it is about durable, it means something which is long lasting. It is going on for a long time. Similarly, we may have the other words that the root dur is used, and it's really helpful to guess the meaning of that one according to the root it uses. So for overall skill development, we can use any of these ways. Using context clue to determine the meaning, reading English books, especially. And while we're reading, we should not look for every word, okay, into the dictionary. We can just guess. We can put out those words according to the context and make a guess. We can go on with the roots, pay attention to those roots, the etymology of the word, and then we can go ahead and connect them to the ones we know already. So these are the common development tips that we can use. The next thing is the strategies to answer the vocabulary question. So it's a bit different. We had some skill development tips. Here, we're focusing on specifically the question. The first thing, in order to answer a vocabulary question, is look at how the tested word or phrase is used inside the text. Determine which of its possible meanings is intended. Which meaning is the writer's intent, the writer's goal. Because in English, one word may be used differently based on the context. So we have to check which meaning is the best intended meaning. The second thing is understand again the context. Context is an important phenomenon in vocabulary, question. So use the context. Read the sentence containing the term plus the sentences before and after. The context may indicate whether the term has a positive meaning, neutral meaning, negative tone, or even if it does not give the exact meaning. The third step is analyze the word parts. Those word parts could be understanding the root of the word, understanding which the prefix is used into that word, the suffix which is used into the word, and then we can make a guess. After going to that, we'll compare the answer choices and select the one that makes the most sense according to the context. Then we can go to the process of elimination. We will eliminate the answer choices that are wrong and they do not fit the meaning of the word based on the context. As an example, we may have this question. The word inherently in the passage is closest in meaning to. So we have the word inherently here, and it is used in the third line of this passage. Let's read it. Unlike long-term memory. So what transition is used here? Unlike means what we have after that is opposite. Unlike long-term memory, which has a vast capacity, working memory is inherently limited. So, initially, naturally, purposefully, or frequently, which one is the best answer choice? Then we can read the rest here as well. Yeah, let me have your idea.
Yeah, teacher, I do think naturally is correct.
Okay. Everyone, send your answers, please. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, exactly. Here we have naturally as the correct answer for this vocabulary question. Here we have opposite of long-term memory, so which has a vast capacity. It is the description about the long-term memory. Working memory is inherently limited, means it is opposite. Long-term memory has a vast capacity, so working memory is naturally limited. If we go on with the logical replacement, if you replace naturally with inherently, it will give the same point. Yeah, that's what we have as vocabulary question. Yeah, that's all. If there would be any questions.